Okay, so imagine your entire universe is about to be deleted. And I don't mean just destroyed like in an explosion. I mean completely rewritten, erased from existence at the most fundamental level possible. This is the story of how a truly ancient civilization faced that exact end, and the unbelievable lengths they had to go to just to survive.
All right, let's really think about this for a second. How do you escape when the very thing you're running from is reality itself? When the laws of physics are chasing you down at the speed of light? This isn't just a disaster movie. This is a cosmic-scale escape room, and the stakes couldn't possibly be higher. But before we get to their absolutely ingenious solution, we need to understand exactly who they were and the universe-ending threat they were up against.
So the protagonists of our story, well, they aren't beings of flesh and blood like you and me. Meet the ancestors. They're a civilization made up of millions of individual minds who, after eons in stasis, emerge as projections of pure, structured energy. Kind of like beings of light, all connected and defined by a single elegant mathematical blueprint. They wake up to find themselves at the end of time, with evacuation as their one and only hope.
And the threat they're facing, it is genuinely terrifying. It's called false vacuum decay. Now, this isn't a supernova or a black hole, which, frankly, would be a relief. No, this is a quantum phase transition. Think of it like a bubble of a new universe with totally different laws of physics, expanding at the speed of light. Anything and everything this bubble touches is instantly, fundamentally unwritten from existence, gone.
So, the good news is they have a ship, a beautiful vessel called the Stupa Ark. But this just leads them straight into an even more immediate logistical nightmare, what we're calling the impossible evacuation. And this really gets to the heart of their problem. On one hand, you've got the ancestors, millions upon millions of minds, a whole civilization's worth of energy and data. And on the other hand, you have the Ark, one single, physical ship. A ship, by the way, that was originally built for just a small monastic crew. So how in the world do you fit an entire ocean into a teacup? You know, the answer wasn't going to come from just brute force engineering, bigger engines or thicker hulls. Instead, it came from a very old, very elegant philosophical concept, a key that could unlock a problem right at the very bleeding edge of physics.
The concept is known as Indra's net. It's this incredible metaphor from Mahayana Buddhism that describes a vast cosmic web stretching out to infinity. And here's the magic part. At every single intersection of this web, there hangs a jewel. And each individual jewel perfectly reflects every other jewel in the entire net. It's this beautiful, recursive vision of infinite interconnectedness.
And this is the line that sparks the whole breakthrough. Infinite scale within bounded form. Just think about that for a second. The idea that you can contain a true, literal infinity inside a finite, bounded object. For the Ark's engineers, this wasn't just some pretty poetry. No, this was a direct instruction manual.
So let's get into the solution itself and see how this one philosophical line led to one of the most breathtaking feats of engineering you can possibly imagine, literally bending the fabric of space to build an infinity.
So how'd they actually pull it off? Well, it was basically a three-step process. First, they targeted the ship's interior, creating a sort of energy boundary to completely isolate it from the outer hull. Second, they applied a totally new geometry, something called an anti-de Sitter geometry, to just that internal space. And third, and this is the wild part, the crew used their focused meditative concentration to stabilize this new manifold, effectively warping and stretching the internal volume toward infinity.
And this right here, this is the master formula that made it all happen. You don't need to be a theoretical physicist to get the beauty of it. Think of it less like a math problem and more like the source code, the literal incantation that was chanted to rewrite the rules of space, but only inside the Ark.
And the result? Oh, it is just stunning. From the outside, the Ark looks exactly the same. No change. But inside, the entire interior unfolds into a seemingly endless fractal lotus hall. A billion geometric petals, each one made of pure space, just blossom inside the hall. And every single one of those petals is large enough to house an entire lineage of the ancestors. They actually did it. Infinite scale within a bounded form.
So, with the Ark now ready, literally bigger on the inside, the stage is set for the final, desperate race against oblivion, because the end of their universe is arriving right on schedule. And it all happens in a flash. The great boarding begins, and the ancestors, they don't walk, they flow.
They become these incredible beams of structured light, streaming into the Ark's now infinite interior. The very last stream of ancestral energy is safely cataloged, and not a second too soon, because in the next instant, the sky just turns a flat, featureless, terrifying white. The false vacuum decay has arrived, and it's erasing their entire star system at the speed of light.
They made it. The ancestors are safe, all perfectly cataloged within the infinite halls of the Ark. But their incredible escape raises this profound, chilling new question. What happens now? What do you do when you are the sole survivors, adrift in a brand new universe that has completely rewritten the very rules of existence?